Namaskar, this is CVR English and it's time to roll the primetime power talk with me today, Anukriti Sharma. The protests continue in India. Doctors are holding candlelight vigils. Women's groups are marching on the streets and our politicians, they are doing what they do best, turning a tragedy into a spectacle for all. We'll come to that in just a bit, but first, the latest updates on this matter. The protests began after the horrific incident in Kolkata last week where a 31-year-old doctor was raped and murdered, that too at her medical college. Since then, the doctors have been protesting across India. They're demanding justice and safety. Today, they're striking work. India's largest doctors' body in India has announced a strike. That's the IMA or the Indian Medical Association. Now, the IMA has got around 400,000 doctors. So, we are witnessing a nationwide strike. All the non-essential services had been halted till today Sunday morning. And so far, the pressure has been relentless. It's mounting by the minute, both from the doctors and from the women's groups. They have been marching and protesting across major cities, and today again, my friends, was no different. Some of these protests did not go well as anticipated. Goons vandalized the college where this crime happened in Kolkata. They attacked the doctors, they destroyed the emergency rooms, and Kolkata police is hunting them down. And so far, 25 people have been arrested. And what about the murder investigation? Well, the CBI is handling that, the Central Bureau of Investigation. And they have many leads to follow. The victim's family says, and I'm quoting them here, her colleagues may have been involved. Yes, some interns and doctors at the college may have been involved. I'm sure that the CBI will follow that up as well. In fact, they have already summoned 5 doctors for questioning, which brings us to the politics of this entire matter. Yesterday, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee interestingly organized a march. She herself walked at the front of it. And what did she demand? What did she want? Death penalty by next Sunday. Basically, 1 week to probe, to prosecute and to convict. Now don't get us wrong here. All of us want speedy, swift justice for the young woman. But let's not ignore the reality too. No court can deliver such quick justice, not even the fast-track courts. So this is not about getting justice, this is about getting political mileage. And the other side is doing it as well, whether it is spreading fake news about the incident or blaming people without evidence. Such selfish moves do not help anyone. They only make a bad situation worse, and this already is a very bad situation. Think about it. Just think about it. A young doctor was raped and murdered inside a hospital. If a doctor is not safe inside a hospital, where are they safe? If a doctor is not safe inside a hospital, then who is safe? Just look at this report. Around 75% of Indian doctors have faced some sort of violence or sexual assault at work, whether it be big or small. That's almost 3 out of 4 doctors. How can we prevent this? The central government has issued a new directive. It puts the onus on the head of the hospital. Now imagine that you are running a government hospital in India. A doctor has been attacked on your watch. Then you must file an FIR within the next 6 hours. The responsibility is not on the doctor who was attacked. It's not on the bystanders. The responsibility lies with the hospital head. I must say it is a good move because right now a lot of attacks, a lot of sexual assaults, they go unreported. So this new directive should help, but it is not enough. You can't just focus on redressal here. You must focus on prevention too. And to discuss this matter in further detail, joining us today at CVR English Newsroom live all the way from Vadodara in Gujarat is Mr. Shivinder Singh Buttar. Mr. Shivinder Singh Buttar is joining us all the way from Gujarat. A serial agro sciences entrepreneur he is, and an astute senior HR head with over 18 years of experience in the field of human resource management. Just a bit of context here, Mr. Shivinder Singh Buttar has over 18 years of progressive human resources management experience in the telecom, automotive, pharmaceuticals, consumer durables and consulting industries at the corporate, sales and the plant HR operations. His responsibilities have included key business functions such as talent management, HR operations, learning and development, project management and employee engagement. Mind you, all these activities which require close interaction with men and women, male and female employees on a day-to-day basis. An astute executive with an eye for detail and a go-getter, he's a team builder and a decision maker with focus on continual improvement of the workplace culture, particularly emphasizing and enforcing women's safety and well-being. An important point to note here is that almost every company that he has worked for has offered equal work opportunity for both men and women, and a significant number of these women have held key positions alongside him. The challenge of making his companies a safe working space for women employees, creating policies to support them and enforcing these policies has been a key priority for him as a senior HR professional. Sir, Namaste, we welcome you, sir. Sir, I want to jump right into the focus of this power talk with you today. The focus today is women's safety. So my first question, sir, to you is that the protests are continuing in India. Doctors are holding candlelight vigils, women's groups are marching on the streets. All of that is fine. But my question is, are we turning a tragedy into a mere spectacle, sir? Do these protests actually help address the root cause and uproot it? And if they do help address the root cause, how do they help? The root cause has to be addressed. The root cause being, how do we actually educate and sensitize the men of our country, sir?
Ma'am, as far as protests are concerned, they do help in, sensitizing or, highlighting the key issues which society faces. But as we said, do they really help in, nipping the bud? I doubt on that, because all these protests which do happen are basically short-lived. Most of the time what we have seen, whether it was a Nirbhaya case in 2012 and today, which happened, tragedy which happened in Kolkata. So basis everywhere, wherever you have seen doctors or the relatives or anybody who is involved in directly or indirectly in that, they do protest, but these protests fizzle down in after a few days, or they do sensitize society on particular aspect, but as far as the root cause is concerned, they remain there. Because these protests have been happening since ages, it is not a new to any society or any country. Had they been helpful, and we would have been got rid of all the problems which as a society we are facing, but the problem remains there. So basically, when we look at all these problems or sensitizing, I particularly feel that there are four things which can help in that. I believe in four-pronged approach. First is sensitizing. When I talk about sensitizing, so as we say, charity begins at home. So does the sensitization. When we look at the gender equity, gender biases, we have seen that happening in our families also, in our relatives, among our relatives. So the sensitization has to begin at a basic elementary level, that is our homes. We need to stop discriminating among our own kids between our female childs, male childs. A lot of female feticide is happening, and that is happening because we believe that we are still living in a patriarchal society. I have no shame in saying that. So as long as the society exists, this discrimination between male and females will remain there. I'm sure this percentage may reduce, but this is going to remain there as long as this society exists. So first we need to sensitize our brothers, our sons at home, that you have to consider the other part of the girl as an equal partner. And we discriminate, even the parents also do that. When we look at it, male childs are allowed to move out, in night. They can go and meet their friends, but females are not. Why? Because they themselves believe that females are not safe. They are weaker. So how to address that? First is stop discriminating. Second, create an environment in a home where they flourish like anything. You can help females. The recent example is Vinesh Fogart. She did not won the Olympic medal, but the kind of in the environment, the kind of welcome she is receiving in India is fantabulous. But that is that's not a norm. It's like a rare case which is happening in Haryana or some pockets of India. But as far as other people are concerned, we still have a long way to go. So what I believe is, the first thing first is sensitization at home. That is the first approach which need to be done. Second is self-defense. We need to teach our girls how to self-defend themselves in context of all those kind of bad touch, all those kind of sexual harassment which happen by their relatives and everything. So those self-defense techniques need to be taught to our daughters at the beginning, so they become stronger not only mentally but physically also, and they are ready to take any kind of challenges and address any kind of issues. And third part is at workplace. So whenever we look at it, females are not allowed to work in certain areas. I understand that. Okay. Especially females are working in a lot of sectors. Even they are focusing on in night shifts. They are working everywhere. But still companies are hesitant to hire females just because of this particular aspect, whether it will impact their work, whether how male colleagues will feel uncomfortable and everything. But if those kind of sensitization would have happened at home, at school level, at college level, you won't find much of co-ed schools also nowadays. Even if it's a co-ed school, male and female children are, even in the class they are sitting like aliens. They are not they are not allowed to sit together. So what kind of environment we are creating? So those kind of environment, if we see at school level, and that the kind of psyche and mindset continues into the workplace, and because of all these issues, we are facing all such issues. Now coming back to the third point, again sensitization at workplace. So what generally companies need to do is sensitizing their employees that all are equal, and they need to talk about the Vishaka guidelines which are being given by the government of India, that after the Nirbhaya case, the new enactment harassment at workplace that has been acted. So all these things need to be taken care of, and sensitization should not be you have one time activity, and it should be a top down approach. If management is ready to accept female at workplace and provide them a conducive work environment, and females should also feel that there is no hostile environment towards them and they are protected, they are safeguarded, I'm sure they will also work freely in that particular society, in any company.
Sir, we lost your voice, sir.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you're audible. Please carry on, sir.
Okay. So what I was talking about was a four-pronged strategy which need to be worked out to ensure the safety of female at workplace. So first I talked about was in context of at home, sensitization at home, okay, where there is no discrimination between male and female childs. Second is at schools, whether they are co-ed schools, and everything, schools, colleges, universities, that sensitization has to continue there. Third is at workplace, and during orientation and all the kind of post guidelines has to be conveyed properly, and this has to be top-down approach where the management itself takes the responsibility aggressively to ensure that there is a conducive work environment for female colleagues, and whether it is for not only female colleagues but all other strata of the society, like when we are talking about ethnicity, sexual orientation, disability, age, culture, and all other things. So basically many companies have even introduced DEI culture, special desks or special departments which helps sensitizing and which is working towards a conducive work environment not only for females but other members of the society also, which are being discriminated based on their caste, creed, religion, ethnicity, disability, age, and every other factors. And fourth point which I talked about was in context of self-defense. Females need to be taught, the martial arts, the special judo, karate, and other techniques where they can self-defense themselves in context of any adversities and everything.
So you have raised some very interesting points over here, and keeping these points in mind, I would like to touch upon two more sensitive aspects with you. You spoke about sensitization for both men and women, and a question was raised during these recent protests, the protests which are happening because of the Kolkata rape and murder case. A question was interestingly raised that forget about the workplace. Are Indian women safe even in their homes? So that is the exact point which you raised in your first answer as well, that this sensitization and education needs to start at our Indian households, our Indian homes. So another point which I want to add to this is about the cow belt of India, जिसको हम हिंदी में गौ पट्टी बोलते हैं. So this cow belt, which basically includes Delhi NCR, Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh regions of the country. Is it true that education in terms of gender parity and sensitization of men and our boys in particular, sensitization is particularly missing in the cow belt of our region? And is it true, as per your HR experience, that women feel more unsafe in their households within this cow belt of our country?
It's sad but true to a certain extent that yes, women, even females, are not safe at their home place. But things are changing with the, with if you look at the recent example of Vinesh Fogart and the Fogart sisters, the kind of laurels they are bringing to the country. So people in certain pockets, but again that is very selective. I'm not sure it's at a larger scale. But in certain pockets, these things are changing. The females are considered at par with the males. Today only the Vinesh Fogart, who came back from Olympics without a medal, but she has won the heart of millions of Indians and the sports lover across the world. She has been showered with crores of rupees as as a mark of attribute, or as a mark of respect, or as a mark of contribution she has given to the sports. But this is happening at a very selective level. So as long as our society remains patriarchal, I don't think these things are going to change. And if anything has to change, it has to change from your own home. If you have to look whether you are doing the same kind of discrimination at your home, and if that is happening, you can't be going to the outside and being participating in candle march and saying ki we need to change the things, and still the same continues at your home. So I believe every household, every home has to look into their own inside and see whether they have changed themselves in context of doing the discrimination between males and females, a girl child and male child. Female feticide has still not reduced. It is still at a larger scale it is happening. But there are multiple reasons behind that. One of the reasons is again safety. I was reading to a article day before yesterday regarding when this incident of Kolkata happened. One of the colonels, one of the ex-army personnel was giving his personal example that his own daughter, being having from army background, was not feeling safe. So she has to know what to send her, keeping in all these conditions are happening, which are prevalent around her. That too in a city like Delhi, and that too in a posh area like South X. So he was staying in South X, but still he was compelled to send her daughter abroad, just because he didn't felt her to be safe in his own home country, own area, own society.
I understand, sir. Which brings me to the next mudda, the next question on this topic. Speaking about these protests which are still going on in the country, there is no sign of abatement, there is no sign of these protests dying down. Sir, do these protests really help to bring about any policy changes or reforms at the political level, at the socio-political fabric, sir, of our country?
There are two different thought processes on this. The protests certainly help, in sensitizing the issue. But are these protests for the camera, or are they really for for the government to look deep within themselves and help them change the laws. During 2012, the Nirbhaya case, certainly it was a nationwide protest, and that compelled the government to bring a new law. But again, that law is still in existence from last 12 years, but the cases have still not stopped. So such protests are short-lived. They are only there to it is the anger of the people who comes on the street. But again, if you look at it after a week, you won't find these protests happening anywhere. The people would be like normal, going back to their daily routine and doing all their course. All these protests are short-lived, and they don't serve much of a purpose as far as it is concerned. I still believe, if it is a top-down approach, if government is really sensitive about such issues, if the organizations, if the families are really sensitive about this issue, they have to address the challenges within themselves or within their own purview of work. The government has to look at the policies. Schools and colleges have to sensitize their students, and the parents have to do their part. So every member of the society has to do their part to build. If you see like education, if you look at it, our education system is such, we don't teach our students about sex education. That because it's still a taboo. But if it is taught in the right direction at the right time, so that brings us a lot of sensitivity in the students itself, and they will be particular about getting into all, and they will be sensitive about all these issues, and that will really help them become a good citizen rather than becoming a predators, which is happening right now.
I understand from your insights, sir, that although everybody in the Indian household has to be empowered and educated, but like you said, and I'm quoting you here, it still has to be a top-down approach, whether at the government level or at a company or at an organization's level. Otherwise, this protest culture will just turn into a char din ka bukhar, and then this bukhar will die down. Sir, moving on to my next question with you. The companies that you have been associated with so far, and looking at your profile and your record, you have been associated with several companies across so many verticals. These companies are particularly known for upholding and ensuring women's safety and well-being at work. What can other organizations do, sir, so that they can create an environment where women feel safe, and while working alongside their male colleagues, they can actually feel comfortable physically and mentally?
See, as far as this, again, you brought a very good question. I was lucky enough to work with organizations which were, quite focused on having the diversity in the workplace.
Absolutely.
But again, that is, it depends. It depends on the organization, the management, and the board, how sensitive, how important they feel other, strata of the society apart from men, that they are equally important for the progress of their organization. If they have that kind of mindset, I believe nothing can change, stop them from bringing that kind of diversity, that kind of directives, because at the end of the day, it is the management who takes the call. If management has decided, in my previous organization also, and I would like to quote here Mr. Anil Agarwal, who is the chairman of Vedanta, he was very particular about, bringing diversity in work. Because of his particular clear directives, we were able to bring that change despite protests from some of the department heads and everybody. But if there the directives and the guidelines are clear from the management, that helps in a long way to change the mindset even of the people who are reluctant for such change. So it boils down to basically the board members or the management, how sensitive they are about the issue, and if they are sensitive, they are willing to bring that kind of diversity, equity, and inclusion in their workforce. Nothing can stop them from doing so.
Like you earlier mentioned, sir, it is a top-down approach. So the upper management, the more sensitive the upper management becomes, the more enforcement of such directives and laws can be done through the culture and the fabric of the company or the organization. The top-down approach, again, it boils down to that.
True. And here also I would like to bring one more particular aspect. I have seen this particularly, especially in manufacturing. A lot of companies believe that female are not fit for manufacturing sector. They are only good in service sector, like IT companies. You will find a lot of female working in IT companies. but you won't find much in manufacturing sector. But wherever I have worked, I have particularly seen, especially in certain departments where it is the work is more towards precision, of a precision and of utmost quality. The output of female and the kind of is much better than the male colleagues in context of the productivity and also in context of the quality of the product they have created as for the marketplace.
So, speaking about women's safety here only, speaking about women's safety over here, particularly since you mentioned the manufacturing units and the service sector as well, it brings me to my next question. It brings me to ensuring women's safety during late night shifts or the B shifts at work. See, we see a lot of women who commute to work at night and they're working the night shifts, and sometimes even their offices are very far away from their homes. How do we go about empowering our women so that they can safeguard themselves at work during these late night shifts?
See, it is again a top-down approach. That is one aspect, and the management is sensitive about the issue. And as a representative for HR department, we ensure that the work environment is safer for the females. For that, we generally follow the guidelines which are given by the government, whether it is with regard to Vishaka guidelines and other, as per that. So we ensure that there are the proper female guards on board to help females. And we have installed CCTV cameras. There are no blind spots where and also the regular rounds are taken by the management and the people at the helm of affairs to ensure that they are working in a very conducive environment. And also we ensure that whenever they are going back home or they are coming to the shifts, the pickup and drop is to their doorstep. So that has helped them also feel that they are safer while boarding the company buses and also while being dropped down back at their homes. So we installed GPS systems in the vans they were going to, and there was always a female guard on the bus while they were going back. This is a particular thing was in context of making them feel safe. But if the same thing, if there's a male guard who is sensitive about all these issues, we don't need even female guard. But that again has to be depends on the society. If a female colleague is safe, feeling safe in presence of a male colleague and vice versa, and male is sensitive about this particular issue, I think it is a conducive environment in itself. We don't need so many extra efforts to ensure safety for females.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us live all the way from Vadodara today and sharing your valuable knowledge points and insights on this particular pertinent matter here at CVR English Newsroom. We really appreciate your valuable insights on this matter. This is a burning national issue. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
And that was Mr. Shivinder Singh Buttar. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back to the show, back to the Power Talk here. That was Mr. Shivinder Singh Buttar sharing his valuable HR experience and insights on how to ensure women's safety at work with us. However, our main focus this evening remains the same. How can we stop these attacks in the first place? The doctors already have an idea. They have been demanding a Central Protection Act. It was first drafted in 2019. It mandates strict punishment for assaulting doctors, up to 10 years in jail, plus up to 10 lakh rupees fine. The idea was to deter attackers with strict punishment. But the government did not pursue it. They said a separate law for doctors was unnecessary. But now that bill is back in focus and the IMA or the Indian Medical Association is pushing for it again. They say that a hospital should be as safe as an airport, and we have to agree. One law alone may not support the whole problem. It may not stop the entire problem, but at least it's a start. We can't just protest, politicize and procrastinate. We must be proactive, and safety at the workplace must be non-negotiable. It is absolutely non-negotiable, particularly for women at the workplace. That is all for this episode of the Power Talk with me, Anukriti Sharma. I shall see you again at 7 PM tomorrow with another episode of the Power Talk. Till then, Jai Hind, Namaste, and keep watching CVR English.